Today, we're going to learn about snapping. Why do we want to snap? So that way we can get blocks and everything very evenly. So watch. This is how you go into snap. You push down and that little magnet comes on because it's kind of like when we snap things together, it's almost like there's a magnetic pull to it. And see how quickly I got these two blocks exactly aligned? If I were going to do it, see, snap is on. I'm going to turn snap off. If I were going to do it without the snap, I could move it free form, and let me just try to get it perfectly even. And be real careful and take my time. And that's not horrible, right? If I was just building something that you can tell that those are supposed to be on top of each other, but with snapping, it's super easy. I don't even have to try on this one. It's going to just pop into place as soon as I grab it with the trigger. All right. And how does snapping work? Well, here's how it works. When it's on, you see that the shapes now have these dots. And if I put the cursor in there, the selector, the teardrop, whatever you call, one of those orange dots, or if I select it, it'll be blue. One of these dots will be bigger than the rest. That is the dot I am grabbing. So if I have my cursor over here, you see I'm grabbing that dot. If I move it a little that way, it's grabbing that dot in the center and the upper center. See? And that's what I'm grabbing. So no matter where I think I'm grabbing it, I'm grabbing a dot. If it's in magnet mode or snap mode. Even in the center, there's one. There's a dot there in the center. And see, I'm not actually touching the center, but I am pivoting by the center and controlling by the center. Now, what does that do? It does two things. There's two ways we can use snapping. Okay? One way we can use it is we can snap to the grid that's just in the air. So see, when I'm moving an item with magnet on, we have these little white axes in there. And you see they're all over the place. You can set them to have more or less. I have less. And it will, when you drag one of these dots, it will go to whichever one is closest. See, I'm real big, so it's kind of hard. All right, let me get small. Now look, if I move it to there, it'll just be there. It'll be there. You can get it to whichever, or you can grab it by this dot, and it'll go to whichever dot is closest. It'll just click right there. Now, that's the grid in the air. Then there's the grids or the frames that are on top of other shapes. So see, this guy has its own dots. And I grab him by his dot, and if I touch it to this guy's dot, they will just lock into place like a magnet. And you see how nice and even that is? If I want it perfectly even, I'll grab this center dot and match it to that guy's center dot. Boom. And because they're the same size, it's perfectly even. We would not be able to tell there was a seam there if these weren't different color. Okay? So, if we're going to duplicate, so I'm in duplicate mode as opposed to just, movement mode. Now, if I grab it by this dot, when I duplicate this block by pulling it out, this block, the new duplicated block, the block that is new, I'm grabbing it by the dot that I grabbed it with in the first place. So if I just want to keep putting it, let's say I want to make stairs. This is really good for making stairs. I know, use the array button, but we are talking about snap right now, okay? One thing at a time. And see, and look how crisp and clean those come up, just like that. All right? So I want people to use snapping, and I want people to understand that you are grabbing a dot and you are moving it either towards one of these axes in the grid or to the dot of another shape. Now I'm using cubes here, but everything has that frame. So let's use this cone here. See, this cone still has that frame just like a cube does. The frame doesn't shrink down to like the size of the cone. So if I grab this dot and I bring it over to this shape and I put it up against this dot, well, predict what's going to happen and then see what happens if it matched. Okay? Now let's say I wanted it to put this dot directly on top of there. Okay? As you see, I didn't get it perfect. I'm going to grab it again. And when you're grabbing it, it connects to a dot always. And then you can like tilt your hand to move it in a certain amount of increments. I can't remember the increments. I want to say it's like 15 degrees. I'm not sure if you can change that. Yeah, you got to be able to change that in settings. Okay. What if I wanted it upside down? See, I grab the center dot on the bottom and match it to this guy's center dot. And that's it. It's flush on top, exactly centered. All right, so that is dots. You know what? Let me do one more, little more complicated example of dots. And then for those of you who are still sticking with the video, you know, you can get this one little advanced lesson. So look, I'm grabbing it by its center dot. And I'm going to match it to this guy's middle dot on the side. And what it'll do is now we got that overlap. So now I'm building steps again, but okay, see, it's going to those axes because that's closer. So if I go, but if I get closer to the dot, there we go. Now it'll snap onto this block's dot. Okay, and see, and there's so many ways to do this. So many things you could do with it, you know. And it's not always for getting things exact. Let's look at this, what we're going to call a dinosaur. So, you know, when I put his leg on there, first thing I do is I snap just to get it nice and even. And then I can slide it in. And it doesn't always have to be, you know, with the dot the whole time, but the dot gets you started. And then you just take it from there. Because we don't need it to be exactly symmetrical because, you know, it's an animal, it's organic, it's okay. Oh man. I mean, it's not terrible. So if anybody has questions about dots, please let me know. Teacher Danny. Always thrilled to do anything that keeps the metaverse safe, healthy, productive, and fun.